What you're about to watch is a news report about a gunman who tried to shoot and kill a pastor while he was live streaming a Sunday service, and you won't believe what happened next.
A Sunday afternoon church service dramatically interrupted.
And God has showed.
The terrifying incident at Jesus' Dwelling Place Church in North Braddock, Pennsylvania, unfolding on a live stream, showing a gunman identified by police as 26-year-old Bernard Jr. Polite approached Pastor Glenn Germany and attempted to shoot, but the gun didn't go off.
It's a miracle that gun didn't go off. That pastor must have been scared to death though, and I don't blame him. He did the right thing. Run. Tensions are high in churches today, especially after the Bishop Mar Mari Emmanual attack near Sydney, Australia. And reports indicate that attacks on Christians around the world are on the rise. Here are a few headlines from a quick web search I did. Record number of attacks on Christian property worldwide. Mob attacks on Christian churches and homes in Pakistan. Attacks on U.S. churches more than doubled in 2023. And attack on Sunday service in Burkina Faso kills at least 15. This reminds me of what Jesus told the apostles in Matthew chapter 24, verse 9. You will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. This was in the context of signs of the end times. And we are seeing this being fulfilled today with increased hostility towards Christians around the world.
It clicked. You heard him shoot it. It clicked. So God jammed the gun so that the bullet didn't come out.
The pastor actually heard the click of the trigger. That must have been frightening. He probably saw his life flash before his eyes. But that reminds me of something that happened during the Bishop Mar Mari Emmanual attack a few weeks ago when his attacker tried stabbing him, but his knife failed to open properly. An online post by Mail Online explains Bishop Mar Mari Emmanual's life was likely saved from death because his alleged attacker's flick knife failed to open properly during the stabbing, and the suspect cut his own finger off in the botched attack. That is also being hailed as a miracle because the attacker went for Bishop Mar Mari Emmanual's face, and if his knife would have opened properly, Bishop Mar Mari Emmanual would probably be dead now.
The deacon, sitting just feet away, leapt into action.
The man had his back turned towards me, and I could see he would never see me coming.
Both men wrestling the weapon from the gunman's hands. In the church at the time, 25 congregation members, including the pastor's daughter.
Thank God for that deacon. Who knows what would have happened if that attacker was able to unjam his gun. That deacon saved some lives right there. He's a hero if you ask me. You know, sometimes Christians ask me what they should do if someone attacks them, since Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5 verse 39, "But I tell you not to resist an evil person, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also." While turning the other cheek advocates for non-retaliation and a willingness to absorb insults or minor offenses, it doesn't require you to passively accept physical harm. Instead, it emphasizes responding to violence with love and seeking to de-escalate conflicts when possible. So I think the deacon did the right thing here. He neutralized the attacker and didn't even actually hurt him. He just wrestled his gun away, and many lives may have been saved in the process. This attacker was a dangerous man who may have killed before, maybe even with the same gun.
Just hours after the incident at the church, Polite's family made a grisly discovery less than a mile away at his home. His older cousin, Derek Polite, had been fatally shot. No charges have been filed in that investigation yet, but Germany says it makes his narrow escape all the more surreal.
By the time this video is uploaded, we may have some more information about the death of the shooter's cousin, but imagine this man may have been on a killing rampage, starting with his cousin. And if his gun didn't jam or he wasn't wrestled to the ground, I don't think he would have stopped with Pastor Glenn Germany. But what's even more bizarre than that is the reason he decided to shoot the pastor.
The two seen wrangling the gun from the attacker's hands, who allegedly told police that God told him to do it.
Listen, if you are hearing voices in your head telling you to kill people, that's not from God. God is not in the business of taking lives. He's in the business of saving lives. Jesus said in Luke chapter 19, verse 10, "For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost." Now, I know some of you are going to say, what about all the people God commanded the Israelites to kill in the Old Testament? Well, warfare was common in that time, and the survival and security of a nation often depended on its military strength. Also, the nations that the Israelites were commanded to conquer were often depicted as engaging in practices such as idolatry, child sacrifice, and other forms of immorality. The destruction of these nations can be understood as a form of divine judgment for their wickedness. God even said in Leviticus chapter 18, verses 24 through 25, "Do not defile yourselves with any of these things, for by all these the nations are defiled, which I am casting out before you, for the land is defiled. Therefore I visit the punishment of its iniquity upon it, and the land vomits out its inhabitants." Also, these commands were specific to particular contexts and should not be understood as universal principles for all time. So even though God did use his people, the Israelites, to execute judgment on the Canaanites in the Old Testament, Christians have no such command today. And this also reminds me of the Bishop Mar Mari Emmanual attack. He was attacked by a 16-year-old teen who was radicalized by Islam, and the authorities labeled it as a terrorist attack.
After consideration of all the material, I declared that it was a terrorist incident. Strike Force Katrina has been established to investigate that side of the events last night. We believe there are elements that are satisfied in terms of religious motivated extremism.
An online post by Mail Online reported that the teenager who allegedly stabbed a bishop in an act of terrorism justified his actions by telling police the Christian leader had sworn at my prophet and reportedly screamed the Islamic phrase Allahu Akbar. Let me tell you something. If your religion or holy book tells you to kill someone because they speak out against your faith, that is not from God. That is from Satan. When contrasting his character to the character of Satan, Jesus said in John chapter 10, verse 10, "The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly." One of the devil's greatest deceptions is convincing people they are doing the will of God while they are really doing his will.
He stood up and he smiled at me, and it was just a smile.
The pastor actually speaking with the gunman.
He said, "Look, spirits was in my mind." He said that they got in my mind and they told me, "Come in and shoot the pastor." He actually apologized to me. I told him that I forgive you and I want you to know I love you.
That was an incredible response from the pastor. He really allowed the light of Christ to shine in him. It's obvious the shooter was troubled and possibly even had some mental problems, but the pastor, instead of being enraged, showed compassion and love. That doesn't mean that the shooter shouldn't be held accountable for his actions. He definitely should. But I just hope the way the pastor responded to the shooter will leave an impression on him and help him to get to know God. That's how people around us get to know God, through us. When we allow God's Spirit to work in us so his character is demonstrated in our lives, it draws other people to God. Do you think the pastor responded appropriately to his shooter? Let me know in the comments down below. Joe Rogan did a podcast with Duncan Trussell where they read from the book of Revelation and discussed the mark of the beast. Revelation talks about a symbolic power called the lamb-like beast that will lead the entire world into false worship. This will be accomplished through false miracles and force, those who aren't deceived by the false miracles will be restricted from buying and selling, forcing them into submission. Those who accept the mark of the beast will be eternally damned, while those who resist it will have to endure a great tribulation unlike anything the world has seen. Learn more about this by clicking on the screen to watch my video entitled Joe Rogan Reads Revelation and is shocked by end times prophecy. Please also like and share this video to help spread God's word. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.